This matchup is one of the hardest for Renekton at the moment in terms of micro. Darius was buffed with the durability patch because it makes him harder to be bursted, and Renekton only wins with burst. He wins all-ins versus Darius when Darius is below 70% health, level 3 onwards. So every bit of micro until then will be to get Darius low enough to be bursted at that threshold. Now, how level 1 works revolves heavily around spacing. You have to be ready to space his Q or W. To do that, I position myself always at a range where I can dodge in or out of his Q if he casts it, while landing my Q and knocking off his bone plating. Now, the trick versus W start Darius, which he evidently is, he has not casted his Q yet, is knowing when you want him to hit you, right? I want him to auto me here, because Renekton wins in short trades in his caster minions, but I'll never let him auto me once I've got to 5 stacks. Now, because I let him hit me in my caster minions are going to do a bunch of damage to him and make me win the trade. So wave 2 is here. I've got to respect it. Darius almost always gets the shove in this matchup because he has all-in threat. So I've got to respect when he hits level 2, because if I don't, I might get pulled and then chunk too hard to be able to all-in at level 3, which was the plan. So very important, in order to prep for the all-in at level 3, I have to knock off his bone plating now. He just used his Q. So versus Darius, in order to space him well, you need to have a very good mental timer of when his Q will be up and down, right? So he just casted it, it was 238. You need to know Darius's Q is a 9-second cooldown. So you have a rough idea when it'll be back up and when you have to be ready to dodge again. It's going to be up around 247. So until then, I can trade with short trades because I won't be queued. But when it's up, I'll be ready to dodge it. It's up now. I see my Zed coming topside. I see that he wants to gank. So what I do to keep Darius interested and gankable is I pre-trade. This is when you trade in advance to your jungle coming so that they get ganked. After that, I path towards my Zed and the gank works. I did go too early. This made it a bit risky. If I went a bit later, it'd be perfect. Now, how I decide if I stay or crash or whatever is I look to see if I can crash this wave before my enemy top laner comes and the other wave comes. I have 20 seconds until the next wave comes, so that's not a problem. Renekton has a lot of AoE. But I have to look to see if I can crash before the enemy top laner comes. It's going to take him roughly 35 seconds to walk from base to the wave. So, to the tower, so that's not an issue. Now, as for itemization, versus Darius, you need to match his items. So what I mean by that is if he gets tank stats, you have to buy tank stats. Because if he buys tank stats and you buy damage, you're never going to be able to burst him because the tank stats negate that, and that's your win condition. So if he buys move speed as well, you need to match the move speed because there's a heavy emphasis on spacing in this matchup, and move speed helps out with that. If he has a move speed advantage, you won't be able to dodge out on his Qs as easily. If he buys damage, however, you can match the damage because then you could still burst him. So ideally, you wait to see what he buys, and then you match the items of his own. Now I see Darius. I see he's bought a D-Blade, so I just go for my boots. This will match the D-Blade early. Unfortunately, D-Blade gives a very good all-in, so I'll have to respect that until I complete my boots, in which case I'll win all-in then. Or until, at the very latest, I complete my first item, because I will complete my first item before him, because he's slowed down his build with D-Blade. So now, I see Hecarim bot side, which means I can try to fight and contest the crash. The problem with this matchup is that you can never take all-ins versus Darius. You have to take short trades, then E out. If you ever waste your E, he will ghost you and run you down. So the trade pattern is to walk up to him, Press Q or W, empower W, then Q, and then dash away. So now Darius is going to reset. I don't necessarily mind if he resets. If he resets here, yes, he might buy an item, but he also misses experience, which is worth more. If he misses experience now, that's significant because he will hit level 6 after me because I won't miss experience. So what I can do is take an all-in when I'm level 6 and he's level 5. I'll do this on wave 9 at 5:30 because that's when you hit level 6. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slow push as much as possible. And that maximizes how much he loses, because minions are currently dying and he's not getting them. Then I'll all in next wave on wave 9. This is the next one at 5:30, the cannon wave, as I hit level 6. The only way this goes badly at the moment is if Hecarim shows up. So what I'm going to do is simply wait to see Hecarim and then go all in. Until then, I won't use my E, because I'll be a dead man if Hecarim comes after I use my E. I see Hecarim. It's time to go in. Unfortunately, I messed this up. I should never go for the auto on the minion that gets me the all-in. I should be all-inning him at level 5, then leveling up in the all-in to surprise him. If I try to all-in now, he will simply run away because he sees that I'm level 6. I have no element of surprise now. This trade is to knock off bone plating to potentially prep a dive. So this looks very juicy. Now, in order to kill him, I can kill him here. I need to dash into his Q. That way he can't pull me because he'll be locked into an animation, and I can just burst him on the spot. But I have to be ready for that. Unfortunately, I don't do that, and I miss the opportunity. And I lose the all-in window. I still try it, but it doesn't work because he's healed too much from his Qs. So now, more itemization. I'll be rushing Black Cleaver this game, because it's really good against Darius. It's the only starting item where you can't be bursted in one shot, and you can still kill him 1v1. It's also good versus a Hecarim and Cho'Gath. Now, I will sit here and hopefully wait until Darius comes to match his items. I assume he'll buy tier 2 boots first, because that's what almost every Darius does who's good. But he actually makes a huge mistake and blunder, and he buys Kindle Gem, one of the worst items in the game. So I rush my tier 2 boots, and I can just win all in from now on. Now I see Zed topside. So I can try and trade in a way and pre-trade like before in a way that baits my Zed, the Darius forward so my Zed can gank. So what I'll do is I'll trade like before when I was on my own to make it look like I'm on my own, which was just walk up to Q to knock off his bone plating. That'll make Darius walk forward and then Zed can gank. He walks forward and now Zed ganks, and I don't cast W until I have an empowered W. So, now, what a lot of people would do is right here they would consider recalling, but I won't do that because I don't think it's worth it. Basically, when I decide if I recall or not, I decide if being off the map and losing XP and potentially anything that I could do on the map is worth the items I'm buying in the shop. Now, I only have 670 gold. I could I could recall and buy a Kindle Gem potentially, or another longsword, but it just isn't worth it. It's not worth losing XP to buy a Kindle Gem. So I'm going to stay until I can get a bigger purchase, maybe a Caulfields plus Kindle Gem spike, or my completed item. I simply do not need a spike right now, so I'm not going to lose XP for it. So now, the only way I lose is if I get ganked by Hecarim. I believe I was not sure where Hecarim was at this point in the game, so I simply let it push to me until I see Hecarim again, then I'll all in. I now see Hecarim, so I look for an all in after this. Darius kind of loses his mind here a little bit. I'm pretty sure he's tilted after having no counterplay from trades. I believe he also might be doing this to secure a crash. But essentially, once he's flashed like this, he's a dead man walking. I'll kill him in next rotation. So that's the first part. I'll be covering the mid and late game of this video in future videos. If you enjoyed this, then please stay tuned.